welcome all. As was shared, I've been committing a lot of time over the last decade at this point exploring this idea of meditation, and it's becoming more and more refined and sort of specialized as my journey deepens. And what I'm coming to grasp is that the heart of this, despite the positive benefits of calm, increased sense of calm, decreased sense of stress, maybe a capacity to optimize our character, our behavior. The bullseye within the pursuit is this capacity to experience nothingness, and that ability to even grasp the notion of nothingness and how it might manifest in our psyche and its effect on how we perceive the world in our immediate moment. It seems to be abstract, and it seems to take us time as practitioners to really sort of wrap ourselves around it. But as it starts to develop, and if we target nothingness in our pursuit or through our efforts, the consequences, the positive consequences we all hear and ultimately hope for, again, stress reduction, positive affect, empathy, compassion, gratitude, love, all of this, they seem to grow that much stronger and that much more quickly. And so what's involved in, for me, what I've discovered, what's involved in accurately and successfully reaching towards nothingness is a fixation on the techniques of meditation versus a fixation on the effects. And so I really spend a lot of my time bypassing the loving compassion sort of work or the manifestation sort of work, because in the end there's this seed of desire within that. And most meditators, traditionally and historically, sort of warn the practitioner, the student, to steer clear of desires, despite how noble or warranted they might be, because in the end they ultimately suspend us from the final experience. And so just committing the process, the time we spend in stillness, to these really basic techniques, I find is on one hand fairly difficult because we have to suspend our wants, but at the same time really simplifies the entire process. And so these four fundamentals are stillness. We have to be still. We can't move our fingers. We can't smack our lips. We can't adjust our hips, because in that there is the seed of, again, desire, the desire to become more comfortable or to sit in a way that inspires us more. And within that desire is the heart of dissatisfaction. This moment isn't enough, and therefore I want to change, and I can change, so I will change the situation. And all of that sort of psychological nuance suspends the whole point, which is, can I embrace what is arising now thoroughly, completely, and as literally as possible? So stillness, super important, and there's all sorts of positive stuff that comes out of stillness. The second is the posturing when we are in stillness. What is the best way to sit? And I found that it's sitting in a way that provokes confidence. This pulls us back into sort of like the evolutionary conversation. When we sit upright, what we are telling ourselves and others is that, we're a force to reckon with. And in that, our sympathetic nervous system is triggered. And we sort of learn to tolerate and become more sensitive to that part of our nervous system that oozes out stress, oozes out fear, but also enables us to become more focused and alert and capable at the same time. And a lot of our strife in life is what I found the symptom of an unchecked sympathetic nervous system. So by sitting really well and pronounced, we learn to feel these signals and befriend these signals. The third fundamental is deep breaths, which is common enough, and this pulls us into the other part of the nervous system, the parasympathetic. So the stillness stresses us out, the posturing stresses us out. Life, the golden rule is to facilitate balance, and our nervous systems have evolved through this golden rule, so there is a counterpart. And as we breathe deeply, fundamentally we learn to trigger the parasympathetic side, and we tell ourselves through our physiology that despite the intensity of this situation or the intensity in which we believe this situation is, we can relax. And the breathing becomes this really simple mechanism to slowly induce a sense of calm through the process. And so the fourth fundamental is psychological, and in that the most abstract and sort of the most difficult to wrap ourselves around, but it is the negation of the intellect. There's a couple definitions of yoga that I really appreciate, and one is like a really famous sutra from a sage called Patanjali, and it's yoga, which is the unity between ourselves and the world, this sense of connection, is facilitated by the restraint of the mind. And so if we learn to stop our thought process, we will experience this unity. And this isn't an on and off switch, but it's a gradient and a spectrum. And so the more successful we are at suppressing our thoughts, the more unity we will experience. And the yogis, as sort of diehards, really sort of pushed the absolute stilling of the mind. And another definition, slightly different, the word they use is rahita, and rahita is devoid. So can I empty my mind of all of its thoughts? And what I found is that these practices over their history have been watered down to accommodate royalty, to accommodate the villager, and now they're watered down enough to accommodate all of us. But as they've been watered down and become more accessible, its point has been sort of dissolved. And when we really approach meditation now, it's either to facilitate our desires, noble and warranted as they are, or it's just this idea of relaxing our thought process to calm down a little. And while that's all good and beautiful, there is a potential that I think is being overlooked. And so by just playing these 4 games seriously, all the positive benefits will arise, but we'll push the practice into a new territory. And that's sort of it. So with that, we can spend the time just sort of breaking down the 30 minutes that we have to actually practice for each fundamental, and slowly sort of build them on top of each other. So at the end of the process, we'll see how these 4 fundamentals work in unison and have this huge territory of overlap. And you'll see where that takes us. Cool, sweet. So with that, happy you all are here. Let's get into a comfortable seated position. And so right away, if you're on like a couch, I want you to sit at the edge of your couch so that you're not prone to like lay back down and rest your torso on the backing. And so what you want to feel is your sit bones, right? These 2 bony protrusions underneath your glutes anchor into the lip of your couch. And that's going to force your hips into a posterior, an anterior tilt. You're going to shift your hips forward. Okay, cool. So you're all sitting at the edge. Close your eyes. Relax your shoulders. Slow down your breath. And so as technical as this process of meditation and the stilling of the mind can be, at the same time, it's deeply intuitive. And I think it's so powerful to trust your own intuition and realize that this inner wilderness is yours to explore. There is no danger here. And the only limitations that might suspend your experience are of your own mind, your own perception of those limitations. So let's spend just a couple minutes intuitively connecting to our bodies, feeling, recognizing the thought process, pushing the thoughts at a distance, and generating this sense of internalization. The Tibetan word for meditation is gom. And it simply means to become familiar with the mind. And that can include anything from the effort of stilling thoughts to just contemplation and observation. So right now, as you still your body, which takes effort, and second-to-second presence, observe your thought process. And notice that it is fragmented. It is a loose tapestry of different opinions. But through your stillness, the mind becomes more obvious and apparent, which suggests that you have already internalized, which is the direction of this practice. And at the most distant end of this internal direction is the experience of thoughtlessness, which reveals the reality, mystically, of the soul, Atman. And those that touch this distant point come back renewed, empowered, connected to virtue, connected to nobility, connected to authenticity. And so when that meditation becomes an announcement that I am no longer concerned with my environment, the body included, no longer preoccupied with the physical world around me, and as a meditator, I am making this statement to myself and that world that I am looking inside. If we fidget, we open our eyes, we adjust our hips, we wiggle our fingers or our toes, that proves that we're still focused on the external, still responding to the physical, which is the opposite direction. And so let's take a second and commit to stillness. Feel the effort it takes, the presence it commands. Hear that voice in your head, speaking through language and grammar and sentences. I'm going to be still, I'm going to be still, I'm going to be still. Now feel the reality of self-restraint, the arrest of the body, the suspension of physical reaction. If discomfort arises, if pain arises, an itch on the nose, a tingling in the fingertips, slow down your breath, calm down your nerves, observe that sensation. The more you observe it, the less intolerable it will be. Okay, 3 minutes here, perfect stillness. Now notice as we work to retain our stillness, the more subtle experiences of our body come to the surface. The languaging and visions and emotions of the mind come to the surface. Through stillness, we become increasingly more familiar with the nuances of our inner being, nuances that are often left under the veil of unconsciousness. Now, the second fundamental is posturing. We have to hold our bodies in a way that provokes our sympathetic nervous system, provokes that very part of our nerves that oozes out fear, oozes out stress, but at the same time primes us to be alert enough to respond to the world quickly and efficiently. And so very gradually, smoothly, tilt your hips a little more forward and feel the spine lift. Think about the way a tree grows. Now, wherever you are, I'd like you to rest your wrists on your knees, slowly again, mindful movement, and then straighten your arms completely, rotating your elbows straight down towards the floor. Spread your fingers wide, your wrists are pressing into your knees, and stretch the skin of your palm until you feel the little tingle of your taut skin. Press your wrists into your knees a little more and feel that your arms become support beams for a lifting chest. Feel your hands and bring a random finger to each thumb. Shut your jaw, press your tongue against the back of your two front teeth, feel the jaw itself relax, and lift your chest a little bit more. So notice there are a couple thoughts that arise as you sit this way. And one is, why I don't want to. It takes a little bit more energy. I want to conserve my energy. It seems unnecessary. This mindless rejection of a simple physical pose is the symptom of our stress. But at the same time, as we sit this way and invest a little bit more energy into this posture, we experience a spontaneous surge of confidence, which reminds us of how much control we actually have. And so this is the positive stress of the sympathetic nervous system that prepares us to deal with the challenges of the world. It's evolutionary. The yogis felt this power that comes from within the body as Shakti. And so now I want you to hold your stillness, maintain this pronounced posture, and consistently observe, second to second to second, that it empowers us. It takes a little energy, there might be a little anxiety, but it empowers us and reminds us that we are in control. 3 minutes here. Tilt your hips forward again, lengthen your spine again, broaden your chest again. Think about a bullfrog bloating up its body to either impress a mate or scare off a challenger. The constitution of our nerves determines the caliber and quality of our thoughts. And through this heightened sense of presence, confidence, and alertness as a meditator, we redirect that Shakti, that power, into the game of internalizing ourselves and renouncing the mind. So we recommit to stillness. We recommit to our pose. Stillness and posture are biologically stressors. They provoke us. So now we'll use our breathing to empower a sense of calm. And while we're pulling ourselves into a healthy tension between both sides of our autonomic nervous system, the fact that we're inducing balance leads to peace, despite that intensity. So I'd like you to breathe into your belly and then into your chest, slowly. And as you inhale, feel that your chest and belly expand forwards and backwards, left and right, side to side, and up and down. And so you grow in all directions. As you exhale, make sure to push every ounce of air out of your lungs and feel that the chest and belly recede from front to back and from left to right, but maintain your length, maintain your height. So every breath in, you grow taller. Every exhale, you grow taller. Again, the breath in swells through the torso, forwards and backwards, left and right, and up and down. As you exhale, feel the torso and belly recede from front to back, recede from side to side, but unnaturally stay tall. And now at this point, start to feel the nuances of your breath. The inhale comes with wakefulness and alertness. The exhale comes with calm and heaviness. For the next 3 minutes, do your best to feel the experience of your breath. Notice the intellect very quickly becomes bored with the experience. It thinks it knows what it feels like to breathe. Suspends your curiosity and prevents intimacy. Notice that quality of your thought process and then recommit to feeling. Every breath in comes with wakefulness, alertness. There is the hint of speeding up. Every breath out comes with a heaviness, a slowing down, and a calm. Every inhale we take triggers, in a very small way, the sympathetic nervous system, our fight or flight response, as we pull in oxygen our body is naturally and inescapably preparing for something to do. The exhale triggers the parasympathetic response, the rest and digest, calming response of our nerves. Every inhale is ritualized as a moment to touch Shakti, power, and to reinvest that power into controlling ourselves. Every breath out is ritualized as Shanti, as peace, and reminds us to surrender to what rises. And before we get into the fourth fundamental, quickly notice your stillness. Or your lack thereof. Notice your posture, and that it provokes both anxiousness and confidence. And then slow down your breath. The breath as a whole induces calm. The inhale specifically induces confidence and alertness. The exhale specifically empowers that same calm. So you're organizing the body, but despite that, the mind tends to think as it always does, to wander, to reject experience, and to react. So what I'd like you to do for the remaining 5 minutes is hold your body in stillness, hold your posture, stabilize your breathing, but put that into the background. And every thought that sprouts up, push it back by expressing your disconcern. As a thought of your legs rises, push it back with the words, "I don't care right now." As the thought of what time it is rises, push it back with the words, "I don't care right now." Whether it's your finances, the reality of the pandemic, what you have to do later, your opinions of the meditation, your opinions of yourself while meditating, every single thought, like a fly buzzing around, swat it away, actively reject. And so your mind should be very busy because there are many thoughts in each of our heads. 5 minutes playing this game. Reject your opinions. Reject your urges. Reject your intellect, your attempts of understanding or predicting. Everything the mind spews out. What you should start to feel is a distance that your mind plays out in front of you. Slow down the breath. Now very quickly shift yourself to listening. Hear the natural environment around you. The buzz of your computer, the sound of my voice, the sound of your breath, the world outside. Maintain the distance between you and your thoughts. Maintain your stillness. And just listen. With every breath in, your mind becomes a blooming flower, opening to the experience of listening. Because of your stillness, you're deeper within yourself. And even your mind becomes the distant sound of the world. Your body becomes the distant sensations. Every exhale reminds you to stay where you are. There are no goals here. Whether the future is positive or negative it has no effect on our relationship to this moment. Any hope for increased happiness or health pulls us away from the intimacy of this experience. But it demands we keep our intellect at bay. And keep our reactions arrested. And so really quickly, one more time, just notice you are still managing stillness, which pulls your awareness deeper into your body. You're still managing your posture, which empowers your mental awareness by triggering your nerves. You're controlling your breath, which softens your reactivity by triggering other nerves. And the Herculean task of keeping the mind at bay through this ambiguous effort of rejecting the mind and managing focus. And from there, the simple experience of listening to your rooms becomes enriching. We're closer to that unity because the thought process is restrained, the mind is emptied. 3 more breaths. Slow them down. Now here's the evidence. Bring your hands to heart center, very mindfully. Manage the nuances and the subtlety of this space you've created. And just think about someone you love. See their face, smiling. Let memories come up. And the evidence that you've made your way into a deeper zone of your being is the potency in which you feel this love. When we learn to restrain our minds to focus on nothingness, the most subtle, smallest target we can perceive, targets like love, gratitude, compassion, hope, become easy. Slow down your breath. And as you become more aware of this innate love, we are reminded that it is a part of us. Notice impatience build. Notice the mind creeping back in. Now bring your palms to touch, something like a traditional prayer shape, and then lift your thumb knuckles to your third eye center, so right where your forehead is. Broaden your chest, lift your elbows so that your forearms would be parallel to the horizon. Really pronounced posture. And this is more technique. Press your thumb knuckles into the skin of your forehead a little bit more. Your arms and shoulders should ignite. And just focus on that little star of sensation. And so like an archer learning to hit the bullseye, focus all of your awareness on that particular point. So much so that you forget about the time. You lose track of the rest of your body. See if you're able to do that. And so this is the principal skill of a meditator. This is the focus called dharana, a single-pointed mind. If we focus like this on love, our reality becomes love. If we focus on this, on fear, our reality becomes fear. It's a muscle. Let's take one more breath in. Focus as you exhale. Keep your posture, let your hands float down to your knees. Keep your eyes closed. And as you slowly open your eyes with a breath, repeat in your mind, I am no longer meditating. As you open the eyes, I'm no longer meditating. And immediately, by labeling a non-meditative state, which is called Jagrat, waking consciousness, we are reminded of where we just were and realize through that contrast that we were actually somewhere, which can evade us while we're actually in the experience. Cool. Good work, everybody.